the hacks, okay? The question is, did Trump and/or his team know about or collaborate with Russia in those efforts? Let's walk through exactly who is investigating that question and in what ways. There are currently 5 congressional committees that is ongoing as well. So is the FBI. Now, the FBI hasn't commented publicly, but CNN has reported that the FBI is also looking into, quote, constant communication between Trump advisors and known Russians in the U.S. intelligence community. So the not expected to pursue charges, and that is a key fact because we're have vowed aggressive inquiries into Russian election meddling and potential ties to Trump's campaign, saying they expect to call General Flynn to testify. And criticism. Why? Well, because he was apparently working with the White House to counter reports about Trump-Russia ties. Is that what he's supposed to be doing if he's also supposed to be investigating? Chuck Grassley and Ranking Member Dianne Feinstein requesting a could be. The 3 House investigations appear much more political in nature. Not to be critical, you judge for yourself. The Intel Committee and a sharp divide within this committee about the necessity of that probe. And you have Chairman Devin Nunes is also pledging to investigate the leaks. You're going to hear a lot about that on the House side. The leaks are just as important as the substance of those leaks. The chairman of both the Judicial and Oversight Committees are looking at leaks as well, with the Judiciary saying only that they'll look into the broad issue of improper interference in the election. We don't even know what that means. Chairman Jason Chaffetz has said that he doesn't intend to investigate the Trump-Russia connection or Flynn's communications with attendance at a gala. Allison, the point is, you got so many people
looking until you just spelled it out. I mean, that is really helpful. So, David Drucker, this is continuing on. But as you know, there are already some of the heads of those committees, Nunes and Burr, who have said nothing to see here.
Anything on Capitol Hill is ever true. Obama had his first 2 years, weren't spending all of their time looking into his administration and providing oversight. And I don't think you're going to see Republicans going out of their way to get in a fight with the president while they have all of these domestic priorities like health care reform and tax reform that they want to move through Congress in a really big list.
So then maybe they do.
An independent investigation. Their power, and they didn't become chair. Prevent their political allies from, in their view, being unduly investigated for things that they don't believe are real.
That's the real point, right? I mean, all the Republicans are in charge of the committees. They want to keep control on this. We all know what happens when you put a special prosecutor in. You know where they start. You have no idea where they'll wind up, and history tells that story many times over. But how can this end well, Selena? If you have one committee that comes up and says, wow, look what we found, you could have 3, 4 other committees who say, well, we didn't see that. Right. We don't agree with that. Right. How do you get consensus? And none of these committees have any criminal mandate or jurisdiction, so they can't really.
I think this is chaotic. And I think there's going to be egos fighting over sort of ownership of this, and it creates. lies, if there were any. And I think that both Congress and the president and the American people want an answer and want it behind them because they want to move forward.
David Gregory, your thoughts?
Look, central questions here. To what extent did Russia try to interfere with and manipulate our election in 2016? To what extent did Trump or people close to him coordinate with the Russians? And are the Russians up to this elsewhere? Than Donald Trump, they're bigger than the 2016 campaign. But I come back to the central point of the morning for me, with the president speaking tonight. Where are Republicans and this president? Are they behind him or are they going to challenge him? You have so many different committees. You have different fiefdoms, different spheres of influence on Capitol Hill. Ultimately, it's Republicans who run Capitol Hill who are going to decide how much pressure to put on this investigation. Maze that you outlined, Chris, is not going to be resolved until and unless Republicans say we really want to get to the bottom of this. We'll lean in with a select committee or a special prosecutor. Right now, you got people all over the place, and you've got a number of Republicans also turning against the intelligence community, which tends to throw cold. How much pressure? That's what it'll come down to.
So, David Drucker, you said, I read, the administration still doesn't have its story straight on this. What does that mean?
Well, I think that we've been hearing different things out of different areas of the different sectors of the administration. I mean, the White House, on the one hand, says it's fake news. On the other hand, stop the leaks. So if there's no information to leak, then, which is it? Either we're getting leaked, nothing to talk about. And I think that the administration has never quite gotten its message straight. The president treats Russia and Vladimir Putin different than he treats just about every other country, friend or foe. He beats up on China, and I think justifiably so at times. He beats up on our allies, and people can make up their own. Russia. He always apologizes for them and their bad behavior. And I think a lot of this would look a lot different if his approach to the Russians and Putin was different.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how much Michael Flynn winds up influencing this entire situation. Yeah. They have put a lot of hope in his desire to take one for the team. You had the FBI uncharacteristically, I mean, anybody who deals with the FBI, they almost never tell you that an investigation's even over, let alone quickly coming out and saying, we're not charging him, and we didn't find him misleading.
Right.
So if you had that cover at the White House, political scapegoat, and people didn't like him, and then you have even more pressure on Flynn to back up an administration